Welcome to the podcast, Google's podcast on site reliability engineering and software. And see, that time I did it perfect. Thank you. We'll put applause in later. My name is Jordan, and I have with me from Cisco.
My name is Ricard. I'm a lead site reliability engineer at Cisco's Thousand Eyes, and we're here to talk about Home Lab.
Awesome. Yeah. So what would you call a person who is the SRE but in their house?
Well, it's myself, so it's hard to say that.
Yeah. Like, what would your title be?
Home Labber.
Home Labber. Okay.
I think that takes it all because it's all of you own all of the stack.
Yeah.
So you could call yourself whatever you want. You can be the CEO. You can be
CEO sounds good.
Yeah.
I'll take
whatever
that
you
one
want,
too.
Yeah.
So, for anyone who doesn't have a home lab, why do they want one, and what can you do with them?
Well, for a lot of reasons. One of the main ones, which is what got me started, is just pure tinkering. So if you're the kind of people, the person that loves tinkering with computers, that loves building stuff, that wonders how does a website work, how does google.com translate to a computer somewhere where I connect and I can modify my Excel sheet or Google Sheets. So if you're that kind of person that's driven by curiosity and learning about how computers work, that's one reason. Another reason is just learning in general and driving your career. There's a lot of people who are building resumes who are scaling what they do. They're basically growing professionally by practicing at home and then bringing that expertise at work.
So tell me a little bit more about that, because some people think that home lab is just like, I have a place I can store my pictures and I can send it to myself, or I want to host an email server, because nothing could go wrong if you host your own email server. But a lot of people, especially who are in our audience, they have a lot of technical skills. Mm-hmm. What ones in particular might get up-leveled if they practice tinkering with their home lab?
Well, I learned Kubernetes through the topic I'm giving a talk here at SRE this week.
Wow. Through
home labbing, through running Kubernetes at home, because I grew out of Docker at the time.
No shade on Docker. Docker's great.
Docker's great. But Kubernetes is a more employable skill because it's more popular in the enterprise. So I took the decision to switch to Kubernetes, and that landed also jobs for me. So you can do all sorts of stuff professionally, but also on the side. One of the things around my home lab is Home Assistant.
Yeah.
And I have the whole home automated. I can watch the dogs remotely.
This is the most important thing you can do with a home lab.
Right. So it's great. You can do that. You can host your own website if you want to take control of your public image and don't want to rely on social media, which comes and goes. Or if you want to run a blog, I run my own blog posts as well and on my website, and that's where I link to everything, and I can post articles with the freedom that doing whatever you want gives you, because you don't depend on meeting anyone's rules or on anyone's uptime. You can also, if you think you can beat one of the big ones, you can perhaps do that as well. And in the process, you'll learn a lot. All of these skills, which are very much employable and which can boost your career.
Yeah, definitely. I think there's a lot of different opportunities that people can use home labs for. For example, my family has a Dungeons and Dragons game, and we self-host the ability for everybody to connect to it, because sometimes the service that we used to use isn't super reliable or slow or whatever. And so while that could be just for fun and family stuff, but you could also make a career of doing that for other people. So there's a million different ways to get there. So if somebody was really interested in learning more about home labbing, where would they go?
Well, later in September, they will be able to buy my book. I'm writing a book on home labbing with O'Reilly. That's due to come out September. I'm halfway through writing it yet. But in the meantime, we're about to go with the early access. But in the meantime, you can go to the Home Lab subreddit. That's a big community. It's probably the biggest one out there.
Yeah.
There's plenty of YouTube channels that do home lab content. Won't name names. You can just look it up. But there's plenty of them.
Yeah.
They're all growing, and they have very high quality content with detailed walkthroughs. It's not as scary as it might have been years ago.
Yeah.
The walkthroughs and the documentation are slowly coming to a level where you don't even have to be a super expert. It's not so much a hard topic.
What's really interesting about home labbing is that it always has come from humble roots of I had an old computer. What can I use it for? What can I use the parts for? And there are a lot of ways now that you can use kind of any hardware and, slap it into your home lab and just resurrect something that, instead of in Toy Story when it's I don't want to play with you anymore. But now it's oh, that can have a new use again.
Oh,
and
yeah.
especially during a time when electronics and components are so expensive, it's like a really good thing.
Oh, yeah.
Should our home labbers always want to do that? Or like, are there platforms of like hardware or software that are like super helpful to them to start out?
Well, Docker and containerization engines in general have enabled the use of lower end hardware, stuff you get like found on a drawer that you had from a long time ago, or that you get used or refurbished for very cheap. This sort of container engines have made that very much possible because it doesn't have as much overhead as VMs had, which was an issue under enterprise, but it also was a very big blocker at home because you needed a lot of machine to run just a couple of services. Now you can have a cheap Raspberry Pi or an old Intel NUC you got off the internet, or my latest acquisition is a Mac Mini that I used that had a broken Bluetooth board, and so the seller was selling it cheap because it wasn't useful for him anymore, and I don't need Bluetooth for my services, so now it's running my OpenClaw instance, right? So
wow, yeah.
So yeah.
That's amazing. Where can we find you on the internet?
Well, my website is bejarano.io, which is my surname.io. And everything is there. The link to the book will be there once it's published. Right now, it points to a forum. So if you have a home lab, we're looking for real-world examples of home labs that might get featured on the book.
Cool.
So if you want to take the chance and maybe get that opportunity to be on the first published book about home labbing, go take it.
And what's the book called?
The book is the Home Lab Handbook, which is the definitive guide to self-hosting.
Awesome. Well, thank you very much. This has been the podcast. Have a great day.